I'm from Guelph. My name is Matthew. If you want to throw your location in the chat as well, we'll see a little bit where everyone's coming from today. The chat's going to be our friend today. So if you want to like submit questions and stuff like that during the Oakville, sweet, Kingston, right on. There's some Ontario. Shani, Guelph. Oh, yep. Messy Labs, how are you? Brooklyn, Toronto, Guelph. Laura, how are you? Brandon, Connor. Oh, Laura, Miami. Son of a gun, Miami, Oakville. Well, Miami's winning right now.
Well, do you catch we got someone from Stockholm, Sweden?
Oh, we got Stockholm too, Connor. Oh man. Toronto, we got a little Toronto, we got a little 416 action. Oakville, Miami, and Stockholm. Yeah, a little jealous. It's not snowing here, but it's good. Right on Atlanta. Sweet. You probably found this workshop scrolling through the community page on Shopify, and that's awesome. We are very, very glad to have you here. We're going to have exciting 2 hours. We really are. Man. All I'm thinking about is Miami now, like where it's like probably like 25 degrees. Hopefully there's no like hurricane pending on the beach. Right on. Cool. I have no idea what's going on in Stockholm, but that sounds cool too. Right on. Let's dive into this. Cool. Matthew, 2H Media, we are going to be talking about all things video today. We're going to go through let's do another little bit first. We're going to have a little bit more to talk about. We've got some additional workshops coming up. If you like this one, you can join 2 more, which is super cool as well. I'm going to put a couple of links in chat if you want to sign up for these. These are early access. These are early access links. These aren't even posted yet. So the only way to get to these is through these links, which is super cool. They're interesting to you. That's awesome. We're going to be asking for a bunch of feedback at the end of this as well in terms of other topics. So if you want to get an early access seat into that, they'll be posted the same way you found this one, but there's some pretty cool stuff in terms of actually creating a budget. We find that a really, really stressful topic for business owners. Stressful, and the fact that it doesn't exist and money gets spent in the wrong ways. And then luxury branding. I know everyone wants to be selling a product that's a little bit higher value. Super, super cool, super important. You'll be joined by us again, and that'll be awesome. Yeah, the only way to get to those workshops right now are those links. Cool. Great. Before we dive in, let's just get a little feel for the room. How are we all feeling about video? How are we all feeling about it? Aaron, you feeling good about video? Garrett, Amy, a little bit, maybe? We're on video right now, hopefully. Who's producing who's already produced a bunch of content this month? In chat, who's producing branded content? Is there like any like industry vets here that are producing like a ton of YouTube shorts or reels or TikToks or long form stuff? Is anyone producing content yet? Or we have a bunch of newcomers, which would be sweet. We produce a bunch. Minimum of video a week. Aaron's at a minimum of video a week. Garrett's gonna one up him right now. Aaron's like 1 video an hour. Newcomer, Calvin, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. We will be building on the consistency aspect of something like this. So newbie, that's cool. That's cool. We definitely want to get a good feel for like where everyone's at so we can tailor this a little bit. Do you know how much your competition is producing? They're probably producing a lot. If you're looking up, if you're looking at like a larger company, you're probably looking at like, hey, they're doing cool things and how the heck are they doing them? And why do they always have a reel? And like, why do I see them everywhere? If you know about your competition, that's really, really important. And obviously that's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Would more content help you? Probably, unless you're like producing like a zillion videos a week, then I'd say that's probably too much. So we've got some newcomers. Is anyone in this chat right now producing some content? I swear I won't pick on you. I really won't. We won't do it. You don't have to tell me where to look. We'll find it anyways. We won't, I swear, we won't bug you. It'll just be good to know that there are some people. Okay, great. There is one, hopefully there's a few more. That's cool. There's a little bit of video content. You should. It's kind of like the way of the future. Like in a big sense. Okay. Great. What we're actually going to go through today is why video, the role of video in e-commerce, like e-commerce ecosystem. Oh, there's more people in the waiting room. Sweet. The do's and don'ts. We're going to go over some basic do's and don'ts, some industry leading examples. We're going to go through some like fun ones that like we all like, our favorite videos. The role it plays in social proof advertising, education, evergreen. We're going to explain what evergreen is and everything. That big 3-letter word that's really popular, 3-letter acronym that's really popular right now. It's not SEO, it's UGC, user generated content. That's like you're gonna get influencers and all kinds of people working with their stuff. That's why Videoly's here, because they're like pretty kick-ass at that. Lots of time for Q&A. We're going to go over some really brief housekeeping. Okay, first thing, this is being recorded. You probably got that message when you joined. We will be releasing the full video. It's going to be like 2 hours long. So you have to give us some time to render it and put it on YouTube. And then we're going to share that link with everyone that's here, everyone that signed up. So if you have to leave early, that's no problem. You'll be getting a full copy. All the resources we share today, you will also be getting a link with all of them. We're going to send you an email. Yes, please take notes. If you have questions or things like that, yeah, write them down. If you do have a question, chat. I'm watching that. Throw it in chat. Hopefully we'll direct it at the right person. If it's like super timely and an awesome question, we're going to answer it like right there. And if it's like, hey, that's a great question, but like better for Q&A, we're just going to put it on pause and we'll throw it at the end. But yeah, if you have burning questions, we would love to answer them. That's why we're here. So yes, all the resources, the video, a bunch of things you're actually going to get after this. So cool. Awesome. We've got a couple of cool things. We don't normally do this. We've got a couple of cool things here because like we're going to actually give you some stuff today. Garrett, what's video given out today? What's Videoly giving out?
Yeah, so this is what we call a kind of a scan your shop, which is basically a free video analysis of your products. So if any of you are out there are kind of curious to see how much of your site we can cover with product videos, we'll do it's a scan your shop free of charge, and if a relevant video exists on YouTube for any of your products, we will find it. And typically, most people are really surprised with how much content already exists out there, that's already ready to be used. And then secondly, which Andy's going to dive into a little deeper later in the workshop, we're also offering for all workshop attendees 20% off your implementation fee when you're implementing video before February 28th. Like I said, which we'll kind of jump into a little more later.
It's super cool. So like if you think you've already got content on YouTube, like from someone else, it's a really cool tool like to bring that to life. And we're going to go over that today. And then we've got some pretty cool stuff with us too. We've got like Aaron actually designed this not too long ago. It's a free worksheet actually that I'm going to introduce a little bit later, but this is like unique to just people that are joining us today. So we felt like giving back to people that actually show up in person or virtually rather. So it's just a free download that you're probably going to get a bunch of value out of that'll help you with your e-commerce store. And I will dive into that later on. Let's actually meet all of us. Let's do that. Let's jump to that. Like hopefully people saw us before and they like seeing us. I'm going to introduce myself first, then I'll introduce all the people on the panel. My name is Matthew, co-founder of 2H Media. We've been a Shopify partner for, well, yeah, right from the very beginning. It says 2017 on the screen, so I'll say 2017. Do a lot in the space with advertising. So advertising assets, that's where the video kind of fits in for me. I'm going to kind of moderate this. So I'm going to not weigh in on too many things. I'm going to try my best to stay neutral. I am going to, in no random order, let's do Annie. Annie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. My name's Annie. I'm an account executive here at Videoly. I joined Videoly in April of 2022, but I've been in kind of the sales world for over 10 years now.
Right on. I actually forgot to do a little bit of mine. Because it's a video workshop, I'm going to go through what my favorite video was that has impacted me the most. And it's kind of a funny one. and we'll do that for everyone as well. A long time ago, Heineken released an ad where there was a house party going on, and it was a new home. It was like a homewarming or housewarming, and like the wife was like walking her friends all through the home, and they land on like the shoe closet, and it's like this like gorgeous walk-in closet that's like well lit with like designer clothes and everything. And they're like screaming and they're like happy and they're so excited because it's like it's beautiful, and they're quite loud and it's a house party. And then they kind of overhear, and it's like all of their husbands upstairs screaming in the same like tone, that high pitched like excited tone. And there's like a walk-in beer fridge in the like, as it's like, okay, great, yeah, that's great. And I was much younger, and we all drank Heineken that week, and it was really funny. And that it was just like, yeah, they nailed it. It was just like a funny beer commercial when brands used to do that, and it's kind of stuck with me ever since. And I do use that. So the Barista Pro, I hear you drink coffee. You must drink coffee if that's on the slide.
Yes, I do. So I actually got this product for Christmas this year, and I'm a bit of a weirdo, and I actually read the instruction manuals for things still. So I was super excited to get it set up and start using it. So I went through the instruction manual, got it all ready. I had been using it for probably about a week, and then I actually had a demo booked with a kitchen retailer. And it just so happened that one of the product pages that was built out for the demo was for this machine. And when I was doing the demo, one of the videos that came up was an unboxing video. And so as we were kind of watching it online with the prospect, I actually learned quite a bit about the machine and found out about this really cool little hiding spot for extra tools, which I hadn't kind of learned about at all through the instruction manual. So it's really just kind of reinforced that even if you think you know everything about a product or you've read about it, there's still video content out there through which you can learn a lot more. So that's why that's kind of my favorite video right now.
That's funny. So you're like a big advocate for, so that you'll drop the referral link if anyone wants to buy through your affiliate link for the Barista Pro at the end of the workshop, right? So
it wasn't included in the special offer, but maybe.
Garrett, you're up.
Nice. Yeah, I just want to say thanks, Matthew and Aaron and 2H Media for inviting us on today. Excited to be here. I'm the sales development manager over at Videoly, located in our North American office here in Toronto. I joined Videoly back in May of 21. Yeah, and this video relates to me because it actually helped me make a purchase a little while back. And just for context, this device, the Swing Caddy Review, it's sorry, it's what's called a flight monitor. So basically it monitors the flight of your golf ball and your swing and gives you analytics back on it. And so for the average golfer, probably not necessary, but for a golf nerd like myself, very necessary. But essentially for the longest time, these flight monitors are upwards of $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. And just recently, they started making these versions that are much more affordable. So I really wanted to do a bunch of research to see how accurate, these flight monitors are. So this particular video is actually a user-generated review from a third-party reviewer, and he actually matches this device up against the more expensive TrackMan and really gives the results. So you could really see, what can you expect at this price point, and ultimately, it made me pull the purchase.
That's super cool. So how many strokes did it take off your game? Or did you just realize you're really bad at golf?
No, since I stopped playing, it's going the other way.
It's going the other way now. That's good. I hope it's archiving all that data for you so you can save it. That's fun. Well, we're glad you're both here. Aaron.
Yeah. I live in videos. I love videos. I consume a ton of video content. People ask me what I do outside of work all the time, and watching videos either in the theater or on YouTube is a big part of the answer. So narrowing down my favorite video is a real challenge. And what I've decided to focus on for the purpose of today's workshop is one that impacted me personally not too long ago in a purchase decision. So over the past year, I renovated my house, which was an absolutely massive job. And during that process, I watched a ton of videos on renovation techniques, a lot of videos on tools, all kinds of videos on tips for drywalling more effectively, you name it. And when it came time to hang my door frames, there was one, or to hang my doors, there was one video in particular I watched that walked through 3 methods for hanging a door. And it walked through the most secure, the fastest, and the easiest method. And the easiest method used these clips, which were an off-the-shelf product you can pick up at Home Depot, that you just screw into the door frame, you screw into the door, and it lets you adjust everything really easily instead of having to like use shims for the whole process. And so after watching this video, I went, that's a great idea. I went to the store that day and I bought these clips, and that ended up being how I hung all the doors in my house.
So
And
I
sorry, go
didn't know
ahead.
that. I helped Aaron renovate his house and I didn't know that. So I just thought he knew what he was doing, and it turns out he cheated. So
Are the doors still up?
They are, yeah.
Okay.
Several months later, the doors are working just fine. I haven't had any issues with them.
that's good. That's good. So we've all had positive impacts with video. I'm sure if we were to go through like all of the participants here, everyone is going to have something that is positively affected. And today we're really going to try and emphasize on why you should be creating these experiences for your audience as well, whether it's a post-purchase, quality, lifetime value of customer like Annie, or convincing someone to actually buy the product like Garrett, or me just making someone want to laugh and kind of better identify with the brand, or Aaron making him look like an expert. There's all kinds of cool things there. Right on. We're going to go through our company a little bit and Videoly, because like everyone's like, what the heck is Videoly? You're probably used to seeing us in these workshops. So that's us again. There's our faces again. We do a lot of things. We actually have some pretty cool things that we're actually proud to announce. We've actually launched a new graphic design service for small business that is a pretty cool fixed rate, unlimited graphic design portion for businesses looking to grow a little bit. Super affordable. Happy to talk about that later, but it's awesome. Aaron actually kind of heads that whole thing, and if you've seen any of his work, it's pretty impressive. And if not, you should check out his work. Explain it, guys. What do you guys do?
Yeah, so simply put, we bring a window of YouTube directly onto your product pages. So Videoly, we're a product video hub for online retailers. We currently help over 1,000 retailers tell their story and stand out from the competition by delivering high quality video content to match their unique product assortment. Specifically, we systematically search and add all relevant videos available for your products automatically to your product pages and provide analytics and reporting on the videos and all of their performance.
So if I understand this right, you are actually taking video content that is actually not even owned by the brand and bringing and giving that visibility, right?
Yeah, we take videos from the brand, but also videos that are on YouTube.
Awesome. So we're gonna touch on that quite a bit today, which is like a really, really easy way to take value from somewhere that you didn't even know it existed. Garrett, you've been living in this world for a little while. Why don't you kind of kick us off into how this all works? Why is it important?
Yeah, for sure. I've been living in this world for a while, but knowing that this webinar was coming up, I was doing a lot of thinking over the holidays. Why do videos work, and why can humans not get just enough of it? I can't count personally the amount of times I've had to delete an app off my phone, or else I'm wasting way too much time all day long scrolling through reels and videos, right? With YouTube, streaming services, TikTok, it's really exploding. And Videoly actually has a great blog post surrounding this that dives into more detail. But it kind of all came together for me, like I said, over the holidays when I was holding my baby nephew, and kind of no matter where I was walking, his head was pinging right towards the TV. So I started thinking, why is this 4-month-old staring at this TV? And funnily enough, there was actually a commercial going on at the time. And of course, he's 4 months old, so he doesn't understand what's going on. But the truth of the matter is, the human brain processes visual information 60,000 times faster than that of the written word. And, faster means easier, and not to relate the 2023, typical consumer to a 4-month-old, but it really is human nature to streamline all the tasks we're doing, to make sure they're as easy and as efficient as possible. And and whether it's a conscious decision or not, consumers are trying to make that choice, the efficient decision. And during the buying journey, video content can play kind of a huge part in that.
Yeah. And as Garrett mentioned, videos really rule the internet right now. So online video consumption has been on the rise, and it's clear that nowadays people are obsessed with video content. The average viewer will actually spend over 100 minutes a day watching online videos. So if everyone just kind of takes a minute and thinks about your day so far, how many times have you already interacted with video content without even realizing it? And then in terms of the e-commerce side of things, we really want to reach our relevant audience where they are and engaging with them in a content format that they're currently consuming the most, and that is video. So personally, when I'm shopping online, before I make a purchase, I really want to have an understanding of how the product works, what are its pros and cons, what previous customers have to say about it. And where video really shines is in providing access to all of this information that online shoppers care about in a really visually captivating way, and ideally on your product pages. In fact, 90% say that product videos are helpful in the decision-making process, and product reviews and how-to videos are actually among the most popular categories on YouTube currently.
I honestly can't even, outside of my normal everyday purchases where I've got a existing, I trust the brand, I understand what they're about, I've got, a repeat buying behavior, I understand what I'm getting into. I can't even think of the last thing I bought online where I didn't watch a video for some piece of social proof before I actually made the purchase. I actually just got Aaron a birthday because Aaron's turning 30 this year. I'll tell everyone that Aaron's turning 30 this year. So I got him a 30th birthday gift. And I was like, what the heck? And Aaron's not difficult to shop for because he's got a lot of hobbies, but I am not as in tune. So I was going through some videos and everything, and I was like, this is making my life a lot easier because I can actually see it in action. And then I would be a terrible business partner if I got him a terrible gift. So like it's just influencing like so much of everyday life. And most of the videos that are coming out now aren't even owned and controlled by the brand. It's someone coming out and giving their opinion on it. It's third-party content. It's so like, and whether it's sponsored content or not, it's so much more relatable from every day. So it doesn't need to be a commercial worth $1 million that's, prim and proper and super scripted and everything. It's more like someone just sitting here like we're doing, going like, hey, let me just tell you a thing. And here's my 2 cents, and you can make up your own mind. But it's so nice to see like essentially the human element brought back into this. So it just feels very real. Aaron, so like Aaron's got a good grasp on this. So like there's obviously an awareness aspect of like, hey, videos can help drive people to your site, and then there's videos that can help convert. Tell us a little bit more about like the conversion, how sales can actually help a brand convert once people are actually on the website, on your actual store.
Sure. The idea that web pages with videos have a higher conversion rate, that's just a fact. I don't think anyone's actually disputing that. Look it up. There's tons and tons of research that shows it's true. In terms of why video helps convert, there's a bunch of reasons for that. It's, as we've discussed, like it's the fastest way to actually convey information to a customer. It's one of the best ways to actually get a response. And video is an absolutely phenomenal way of telling stories. And in e-commerce, especially luxury e-commerce, if you're trying to sell something higher end that people are going to either spend a lot of money on, or that's going to be very important to a customer, being able to help tell a story, not just around your product, but around the customer and their experience with the product is massively important. And with a good, with an engaging video that's got a good hook, you can really capture people's attention and tell those stories a lot more effectively than you can with just a copy. A lot of the times, copywriting is their first search engine to read. We're trying to get that SEO juice and drive traffic to the page. With the video content, it's all about the customer. And so you're actually speaking directly to that audience, speaking to the things that they value, and encouraging them to actually cross that finish line and make a purchase. And that's how video can turn browsers into buyers.
You said something that's really cool that we're going to touch on a little bit later and that was a good hook. So if we're we're going to come back to that one, but I definitely didn't want to skip over that because we definitely need to capture people's attention. It kind of fits right into my next slide, which is like we're an attention commodity right now. Like we are being torn so many ways, like Garrett mentioned, like having an app on your phone and then realizing it's like completely unhealthy for you and then getting rid of it and then falling back into that trap of like, hey, someone shared something and I want to laugh too. The levels of consumption are absolutely insane. They're absolutely insane. These stats were taken late last year. So I think they were closer to the end of 2022. But it's absolutely, especially if you've got more of a global audience, or even again, even if you were to break these numbers down for just North America, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. YouTube's on that list. They are about to start monetizing YouTube Shorts, which is going to rocket content creators in that space as well. So obviously, Instagram has already done that. TikTok has already done that. YouTube is right around the corner with that, and they hold a very large key in that market. The numbers are insane. So you don't need to be in all places. Obviously, you don't need to be. One will suffice. When I see that word billion, there's going to be enough to go around as soon as we're in the billions. Especially some of those are daily. 4 billion video views per day. 100 million hours watched a day on Facebook. 100 million. I don't even know what 100 million hours looks like. You like walk to Pluto in 100 million hours. Yeah, don't quote me on that, but you probably can. So and again, these numbers are not going down. They're if anything, they'll be going up. One thing there is you definitely should try to find where your audience is operating the most, because that just makes more sense for where your brand, where your fit is, especially if you're a small business. Don't try and pull yourself in too many directions. Focus on one. And your website. So like a brand, a platform for awareness and your website, it's absolutely insane. I want Annie to just explain a little bit more about, again, a little bit about some stats in terms of, oh, actually, you know what, Garrett, Annie, you're going to do this. We've got some Black Friday information as well in terms of like some stats that are just quite impressive. But the sales funnel from Videoly's side, how do you guys see the e-commerce sales funnel with video playing a role in the buying decision?
Yeah, for sure. I can jump in here. I know, Andy, you're going to go into kind of the step-by-step process of the e-commerce sales funnel. But as we all know, a lot of work goes into play before anyone ever lands on your website. So, at a very high level, it's very important to understand where we're driving traffic to the site and which avenues are they coming from. Are they coming from search, direct, referrals, email, etc. Search is traffic coming from people organically finding your website via a search engine like Google, whereas direct traffic, would be an individual that's either typed in your exact URL, has clicked on a direct, link from a third party, or even bookmarked your site. So with that being said, typically speaking, search will favor more of your first-time customers and visitors, whereas that direct traffic will be heavier on returning customers. So the reason it's important, to know which traffic is falling off where is, this will allow you to optimize the stages in each sales funnel. Maybe some of them aren't performing quite the way you want. So it's obviously at all times important that the customer journey, is smooth, but especially important for that first time traffic, as of course, as Matt was talking about earlier, we want to turn them into repeat customers, and we want to continue to improve our average lifetime value of a customer. So this will allow you to see, what traffic is actually completing the full journey, and will allow you to make, those guided decisions moving forward in terms of which sources are best for your business. So if we could put a concrete example on this, is let's say you recognize, that your search traffic has, a lower conversion rate than that of other sources, and they seem to be kind of falling off right around that product page stage. So this would give you a bit of an indication and an idea that engagement levels on the product page level are low, and customers are potentially going somewhere else to find the information they need at that stage. And since they're given that their search traffic, there is a chance that they haven't seen any content up until this point of the journey, and now could potentially be leaving to YouTube to watch a video. And actually, funnily enough, Google had run a study on this last year and found that 55% of shoppers leave to go to YouTube to watch a video before they purchase a product. So again, the reason why it's really important is because typically, driving traffic to your site will be one of your biggest recurring expenses, and you want to make sure that it's optimized so that you're seeing that best possible return. And so I like to think of, those expenses attached to driving traffic to your site as your mortgage payment, and then the cost to optimize those conversions in each stage of the sales funnel as your insurance payment. So making sure that you're protecting that large investment that is driving traffic to your site.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Garrett was saying, when we look at the e-commerce sales funnel, we see a visual representation of the customer's journey, right? And more than 70% of people say that a better shopping experience and journey will actually help them choose to shop at one store over another. So we're seeing that the customer experience is becoming more important than ever before. And you've made an investment to get shoppers to visit your store and land on a product page. So then it really becomes vital to protect that investment, like Aaron was saying, and turn those browsers into actual buyers. And a great way that you can provide a better shopping experience is by supporting the shopper's purchasing decisions through each stage of this journey. So this can include attractive product pages, clear, compelling product descriptions, product information and expert knowledge delivered by video content, live chat options, and you want to provide the shopper with as much information as they need to feel comfortable making their purchasing decision while they're still directly on your product page. And video content can really cover a lot of bases in an engaging way. You can include product presentations, reviews, unboxing, how-to videos, a ton of different types of videos to answer the questions that the shoppers might have and would otherwise, like Garrett said, likely leave your site to go have answered elsewhere. On this funnel, on this slide here, where videos really play a pivotal role is at the view product page stage. Once shoppers have made their decision and hopefully hit that add to cart button, you need to continue the journey by providing a frictionless purchasing experience. And then also when the purchase is complete, the journey hasn't ended. So this is when you want to keep shoppers engaged and driving them back to your product pages. So we all know I like coffee. Let's say I bought a new coffee machine from your site. Why not send me an email with a link to, say, a milk frother product page and have video content on that page so that I can learn more about the product and feel comfortable purchasing it, even though I have no prior knowledge before receiving your email.
So this is really important. So, and I'll tie this back because we are more focused on Shopify. To really dive into it, just because this is where I would look from my experiences, for my advertising experience. I would be going into your analytics dashboard, and this is like for every merchant here. I'd be going into your analytics dashboard, and I would be searching to see how many people actually reached the product page and didn't actually add something to cart. So we spent the money, we got them to click an ad, or we've been working our word of mouth channels, or again, attending trade shows. We're doing all the work to actually get them all the way to the product page. Great, like great success. They're viewing our product for the first time. Obviously, the goal now is to get them to add to cart, or make a further inquiry, or do something, like make a positive action forward. If you are not happy with the conversion rate between product page views and add to cart, this is where video is really, really important to actually get someone to the next step. It's not going to help you once you're, into, completing the checkout. We're not going to talk about, oh, great, we're going to, hound you with a video and walk you through the checkout process. But definitely it's going to alleviate the concerns that you potentially have on that product page. So great way to answer questions. And then again, that's most of our examples. Most of our examples were like, we already had the kind of product in sight. So the work was kind of done before you even, Aaron's example is a little bit different because he made a general search and was looking at options, but all of the other, it's like, okay, great. We kind of know what we're looking for. I just need a little bit over the line. So conversion rate, you're looking for conversion rate. That's what this is essentially solving. Sweet. Aaron, why is it such an effective conversion rate tool? Why? Yeah, explain this, because there's other things. Obviously, we build beautiful product pages all the time with meta fields and data and structured snippets and the whole thing. They're beautiful. Why is video so important to actually getting the user over the line?
Well, this really ties in everything I was saying. when you asked the similar question at the beginning of the presentation, video is personal, it's direct, and it's built for the end user rather than for a search engine. So when you build video content, you're able to answer questions more effectively and actually create something that emotionally resonates with your user, better than written content.
It's interesting too, because I actually forgot when I built this. It also increases time on page, which is a huge positive signal going, the longer they're there, the more likely they are to learn. So in terms of that alone, keeping people, again, having video content, we have a ton of video content on YouTube, but we really don't want to push people off platform into something else where they have to, again, that's creating friction in the buyer journey. So keeping it on page is really important. If anyone can hear that, that's my cat, and he wants to say hello, and he's not going to get the opportunity. There's a lot of people that have seen my cat over the years in Shopify presentations. He's a good cat, but not today. Great. Oh, yes. Let's actually talk about that and how that's worked. I'm gonna let, I think it's Garrett and Annie that are gonna actually walk through this, but like, walk me through Mike Spikes. Walk me through how a real world example on how this actually happens.
Yeah, for sure. So Mike's Bikes is a pretty well-known bike retailer out on the West Coast on Shopify. And really the results that Mike Bikes seen can kind of be split into two different categories: improved customer engagement and conversion statistics. So at the top level, Mike's Bikes saw over 1,700 relative videos flown to their product pages in under 1 month with no manual effort, but still having full control on that content and analytics. So over on the engagement side, Mike's Bikes, they saw a decrease of 33.5% in their exit rates, 12.4% in their bounce rates due to that extra time on site. And this is achievable because of how relevant this video content is. And that can be backed by the fact that over 40% of their video viewers were watching these videos for more than 80% of the total duration. So now customers going through the buying journey, kind of like you mentioned earlier, Matt, are remaining on the pages longer because all that information is right there in front of them. Another stat for you is, our average sports and outdoor video is actually watched for 1 minute and 3 seconds. So I'm sure everyone out in the audience, you could kind of think about, what your average visit duration time is right now. And I think we all agree that this type of engagement would be beneficial to our SEO metrics as well. And over on the conversion side, they've seen great results. And this is kind of proof that video content on their product pages are helping buyers or browsers make those purchasing decisions. And so just to highlight what these numbers mean, so there's no confusion, is what we're measuring here is the difference between a shopper who lands on a product page who did not watch a video compared to one who landed on the product page and did watch a video. So 415% increase in the add to cart conversions on desktop and 405% on mobile. And the reason I'd like to highlight mobile is, obviously it varies depending on the industry, but most companies nowadays, are seeing anywhere from a 70-30 to 80-20 split in favor of mobile shoppers. So this is why now more than ever, it's very crucial to make sure your store is fully optimized for mobile shoppers. And when you're manually embedding those videos, this can actually be a pretty difficult task to get them located in the right location. And because after all, of course, having videos on your pages is important, but if they're located down near the bottom, people aren't scrolling, which is quite common, then you're going to have low watch rates and they're not going to perform. And like I said, Mike's Bikes is really well known in the biking industry, as well as just, e-commerce in general. And they have a very strong brand. And they were actually creating some of their own content before working with Videoly. And some of the main issues that were kind of standing in their way, like many other retailers, was trying to actually scale video content across their very large product assortment. And so realizing that there's this massive amount of professionally done third-party videos out there, I believe the quote's on the next slide.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, and so since they realize this is all out there, and right, this is when they decided to start sourcing video content. So having the mix of their own in-house content, right, brand, and that third-party user-generated content allows them to ensure that they have a high product page coverage rate, keep their brand identity, and use the better performing user-generated content all at once. And being able to automate this process obviously saved a ton of time for their team to focus on one of the other 100 hats that they're wearing. And then the cherry on top, it really is the analytics. One, because of course we want to know how are these videos performing, but secondly, we want to know the in-house created content. How is that performing? Because this content is going to be the most expensive and time consuming, and knowing which videos are actually moving the needle in terms of engagement or sales will then allow you to kind of guide your future content creation. So this is kind of just a high level little bit about the customer story for Mike's Bikes. It's on our website along with a bunch of other case studies on, like Out North and Face of the Future, which is a beauty and cosmetics retailer out in the UK. If anyone wants to go and check that out.
I want to go back a slide here.
I've also just dropped the link for that case study in the chat in case anyone's interested in going and taking a look.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, and we could all use a little bit more time on a bike, especially for Mike. He does good stuff. He does good stuff. I checked out his stuff when we were previously chatting. It's like, those are nice bicycles. So we've got a separate example here that we want to run through. We don't want to leave anyone behind. So Mike's Bike is a great e-commerce brand that's operating the B2C space. Cannabis 45 is a little bit different. They are an e-commerce brand. They sell products, but it's a little bit more B2B focused. So if there's anyone out there right now as a participant that's a little bit more B2B focused, or they've got some heavy B2B sales channels, video will still have the same impacts in that environment as well. I'm gonna have Aaron jump in here in a second, but it's it's a different approach. There's probably going to be less user generated content for those sales channels, but there are still very, very valuable, video is a very, very valuable tool if you are maintaining business relationships. So with suppliers, with other consultants, if you're offering a service, a professional service, things like that. Aaron, why don't you break down what Cannabis 45 actually stood to benefit from creating as much video content as they did?
Sure. So this is a great example of using video in a way that's outside the box compared to what we normally think of in terms of e-commerce sales. So a lot of the time when you think about a video, you think about, oh, we're gonna just try and sell our product. We're gonna talk about its features, talk about its benefits. We're actually gonna be doing the hard sell. We're filming commercials. In this case, Cannabis 45 was produced on behalf of Grow House Supply Co. They're a supplier in the cannabis space, selling growing media and tools to cannabis growers across the industry. And Cannabis 45 wasn't positioned as a commercial for their products. Cannabis 45 was an authority piece. It was a chance to double down on their relationships with other big players in the space, show off how much they actually understand the market they're selling in, and actually answer a bunch of burning questions that were impacting the growers that were purchasing their products. So the tagline for Cannabis 45 was "The facts are nothing." And this podcast actually delved into a lot of the important challenges growers are facing around things like sanitization and disinfecting. What's important, what actually works. Actually meeting with experts in order to share those expert opinions on the podcast and actually bring education to the people using the product. And that's not just education about the product, that's education about best practices, the industry is going as a whole. And so the relationship between these content and a conversion tool for actually selling the product might not be as clear as something where you're actually just sitting down doing an unboxing and showing the product or talking about its features or how great it is. But what it did is it positioned Grow House as an authority in the space so that when consumers were considering making a purchase from them, they feel more trust and more confidence that they're buying from the right people and going to get a better product at the end of the day.
It was a lot of fun too. I know that a lot of people, I love podcasts. Obviously there's most podcasts are audio only. This one was audio and video. And what was really cool, but it was long form, and we were actually able to take, a 2-hour conversation, carve that up into, 20 different video segments. And that's going to line your social media for quite some time, especially if you've got some kind of schedule on. So obviously a larger initiative, but it's going to help with so many other things. So, not everyone has it turns both a conversion tool and an awareness tool, because we were able to put all of the small clippets where it's just like a Q&A, but not the full length content, out into the ecosystem, generate a bunch of buzz, get a bunch of subscribers. And then we actually ended up, the podcast actually won Best Cannabis Podcast of 2021, which is really, really cool, because it was just engaging with the right audience. And again, it was from everyone from low level education in terms of just starting out in the industry, beginner level, all the way up to expert. So it was a super, super fun project there. And that's just, again, something where if you do have a product that's a little bit more, I'm going to say more complex. So maybe doesn't need to be luxury, but maybe there's special requirements or higher industry standards. You're going to need to take a different approach to how video can help you. But
while we're talking about how video can help you in interesting ways, one more thought I'd like to share on this concept as well. I got some advice recently from one of the mentors that we work with in our business that I thought was really impactful in terms of the value of producing this kind of content. And the advice was, if you're going to go on someone else's show, that's a great way to build exposure. If you're going to have other guests on your show, that's a great way to build your network. And these are awesome uses for video that aren't necessarily obvious when you're thinking about implementing a content stream like this.
That's really cool. And again, most business owners, if you actually are the founder or the business leader of your company, there's really not a good reason not to appear on someone else's show, because you do have value in the knowledge and the story and how you actually got to become an owner of a company. So also a really good awareness, because I guarantee you Mike's Bikes would be super interested in interviewing someone that is an expert in the biking space, or again, also other retailers in that space, whether they be providing safety equipment or anything. All roads kind of lead back to them being a great source of knowledge and building their network. Like the collaborations just start to happen if you want to grow your social media. It's just one of those, it's like 2023, like everyone's kind of holding hands, all trying to work together in most of their industries. So something to think about. So you got to think outside the box too, because not everything needs to be product focused. BFCM just happened. Hopefully everyone had a good one and then took some downtime for the Christmas break. What did we see? What did we see this year, Annie?
Yeah, so Black Friday and Cyber Monday have routinely been the biggest shopping events of the holiday season in North America. And in 2022, Videoly powered online stores saw over 126 million page views during Black Friday and Cyber Monday week, with over 1.9 million video views. And that's a 100% increase in the amount of video views than an average week. So this is just showing that even during the busy shopping season, customers still want in-depth product information in order to justify their purchasing decision. Videoly powered online stores also experienced a 194% increase in add to cart events, again, reinforcing what we've been discussing in terms of product videos really being a proven way to boost sales. But it's important to note that videos aren't just for peak season. 73% of people say that they prefer learning about products and services by watching short videos. And with a lot of businesses expanding into the e-commerce space during the pandemic, there's increasing competition for customers' attention in dollars. And video content is a really great way to stand out and make the best possible impressions. Videos keep shoppers engaged throughout the year. And you also really want to ensure that you have video content set up before peak season so that your store's in the best possible position and really set up for success when peak season does hit, as video engagement is so high during those periods. I actually had a prospect that was planning on adding a lot of products inventory to their site for Black Friday, and they were looking to get those products online as quickly as possible. But she was really struggling with how much time it was taking to build out content for each product page, adding hundreds of product images, text descriptions, specifications. And the timing of our conversation was really perfect, because instead of her stressing to manually build out and add product information for each product, we were instead able to add product videos right away so that those new product pages had content and could answer shoppers' questions in time for Black Friday. And then she could always return to the product pages later and build out the text portion without missing out on any of the potential sales from not having the products online at all.
I completely agree. I mean, obviously you want to leave yourself as much planning as possible. That obviously is, sometimes that's not available. There's, we've got some clients that their busy season is like the summer, like spring to summer, and then it kind of drops off a little bit going into winter. And it's the same thing. You definitely want to have your ducks in a row. With obviously as much time as possible. Sometimes that can't happen based on your suppliers and manufacturers, but the stats are wild here. And I don't think these are going to be going down anytime soon, as more and more people, like, again, video used to be a complete pain to watch on your phone back before everyone had 5G and unlimited data and everything else. So like, that's just opening up to more and more people, and the young people of the world. I'll try to include myself in that. That might be a stretch. We just tend to watch more video before we make a purchasing decision. So these stats aren't actually surprising me. They're just like a lot. They're just big numbers, and they're big, cool numbers. So great. We're gonna actually tie this in. So we've talked a ton about, like, okay, the importance, getting there, especially if there's some new people in the chat. We've got some resources for you available. So if you really want to think about, okay, how is this going to impact your business, we've got a couple of things that are, I'm not going to call them today exclusive, but they're pretty exclusive. This store analysis, Garrett, go into it a little bit more for me. What the heck is a store analysis?
Yeah, I can jump in again, and there's probably a bunch of people who've jumped in and didn't hear the the original explanation. But basically, what it means is, like I said earlier, if there's a relevant video that exists on YouTube, like for any of the products in your assortment, we'll find it. So whether it be manufacturing, brand, user generated, influencer, it doesn't matter. And then essentially what we'll do is we'll scan your product assortment, and then give you a percentage estimate in terms of how many pages can be covered with products, or with product videos rather.
So is it built for stores with large inventory, small inventory? Where's that kind of sweet spot?
Yeah, large stores, small stores, middle ground, you name it. It's totally fine, but obviously, the value continues to go up, and it's harder to scale video content as your SKU count goes higher and higher.
And then any specific industries, or is it just like, this is just like kind of a one size fits all for most businesses that are operating any industry, any SKU count?
Yeah, no. So for existing content, for example, yeah, it's definitely industry to industry. Like some of our top ones would be sports and outdoors, electronics, cosmetics, that sort of thing. And then there's a few that, like, let's take, for example, fashion. There's not a lot of brand and existing content out there because the brands aren't spending the money because it's so seasonal. They're not pouring the money in to create content when products are only around for 6 to 8 weeks and then cycling through. So that would be, there are some areas where content might not exist, but that doesn't mean that there isn't user generated content, influencer content out there, or the ability to create your own, obviously.
So if you are interested, at the end of this workshop, we're going to be putting some stuff in place so that everyone can get an audit. I'm kind of interested to see, I might send you some of our customers too, because I think that there's going to be some of them that have content that might benefit them as well. Ours is a little bit different. So like, there's obviously the one video audit already exists. If you're interested in starting to create your own, and this ties into evergreen content, this ties into like unboxing videos that are controlled by the company, think instructions, assembly, there's a whole bunch there. If you're thinking about making video a part of your marketing strategy, we do have some pretty cool strategy calls that we're going to be booking out with brands that are interested in kind of taking that leap. You can book them with me, Aaron. I'm going to give you, there's a link right there in the workshop, but we'll put that in. Oh, Aaron's already got that in chat. Sweet. There's no pressure there. It's just a conversation. We definitely want to make sure that you're on the right track before you go down that road, before anything happens. And then, yeah, we'll determine if there's like a right fit for Videoly, and your free store analysis will actually do that for you. So it would be cool just to figure out how much user generated content is out there. And it kind of leads into my next slide, which is like a super huge it's one of the largest misconceptions that we actually deal with in terms of like having a marketing mix for a business, is like my audience doesn't watch video. some audience, like again, like the sporting, this like this, I mean, people have been watching sports for decades. Let's open this up to chat. Who does anyone here think that their audience won't care about their product enough to watch a 1-minute video or a 3-minute video? I'm gonna blow your mind with the next slide. So let's just see like, so in terms of the attention commodity, in terms of whether someone would review your product or put your content online or actually share their opinion through a video testimonial or a written testimonial, how many brands here have, or they think they've got user-generated content online that they don't actually either know about, but they think probably will exist? I'm gonna pick on some people. I know some people in this room here, without being too selective. I know the stuff from Messy Labs would completely play in video because kids' toys are super easy. Don't everyone jump into chat at once. Bueller, it's all right. Everyone's probably just like typing like really good responses, and I'll give everyone some time to do that. You should know, if you haven't done this before, you should be checking for this kind of regularly in terms of outside of the content you control, is what are people doing with your product outside of the normal communication channels. So yes, it's easy to post a photo on Instagram, or someone either eating your food or enjoying some of your merchandise or wearing your clothing or actually giving you feedback. You should know. Almost every audience watches video. I did a quick search. And I was trying to find the most obscure thing that I could find. And I was in my kitchen at the time, like, what the heck is a good example to actually show off that like even the most like ridiculous product that like everyone should know? There are entire channel. I typed in toaster reviews. So if someone's in this room and they make toasters, or they make, they sell kitchen appliances or things for the home, there are hundreds of channels that review toasters, just toasters. They review toasters and they show this toaster versus this toaster, and this toaster is good for this type of bread and that type of bread and the size, and this one puts like a Star Wars logo face of like a stormtrooper on it, and this one does it so that like you can see the toast actually cook. It's wild. I didn't go down the rabbit hole too far, but like I didn't realize there was this much content about a toaster. I own one toaster. I haven't had to do this research in a long time. Great. These are all user-generated channels. These are not owned by companies. This is like people out there reviewing products for themselves to actually generate content. That my cat is going wild again. He knows that I'm talking about toasters, and he's clearly a fan. There's a very good chance that your products will be doing the same thing. So in this case, and I'm not sure, Gary, how would, if this content existed on YouTube and I was selling toasters and I came to you, would this be something that Videoly would actually help get onto a product page? Something similar to this, if there was a review video already for a toaster online?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have the product in your assortment and there's traffic to that product page, then the videos available would go to our curation team, and they're going to watch the video, make sure that it is an appropriate fit. It doesn't mention any competitors. The overall message is kind of selling and positive. And then as long as it matches up, then the videos would be added to your product page.
So like this video right here at the top, it's got a 271,000 views. That's something that if I was selling that toaster, if I was a retailer of that toaster, I could get that in front of my audience as well, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
So in terms of that, there's going to be some easy wins for you. And again, like everyone's going to sell something different in chat. It's something that I would go look into, going like, yeah, what already exists out in the market? Because these are a lot of easy wins, which is super cool. It doesn't mean you have to start from scratch, which is really, really important. It will also tell you what content is actually performing. So, if there is no content on your specific search, one, I don't believe you. Two, you should probably create some. It might not be like, again, the search results might not be exact. It's also going to tell you how your toaster stacks up against someone else's toaster. So like, I don't know, there might be a toaster award that I don't know about. Like the award-winning, I'd want to have an award-winning toaster. That kind of alleviates the too expensive problem, because if generating 271,000 views on my toaster review doesn't happen overnight, it essentially solves a little bit of the cost. There is a few things that we want to kind of convey here, but if you can get a quick win and get a bunch of essentially traffic to, or a bunch of conversions because of someone else's content, that's super important. If your brand doesn't have a dedicated video marketing advertising budget, let's just say you're doing traditional stuff, let's say you're a little bit smaller, you're a little bit less structured than larger brands, creating content can be expensive. It really can. There's kind of no way around that if you're trying to do it from scratch. The user generated content piece comes in to here quite easily. So Garrett, explain to the difference between influencer content, user generated content, like what are sponsored content? What, again, if I don't have budget and my users are creating content already on my behalf, that costs me a grand total of $0, right?
Yeah, well, I can jump in on kind of the creating, content is a little too expensive, because I think it kind of was a nice segue there from showing, the content that's already out there that exists on, something like a toaster, which may surprise a lot of people. But yeah, there really is no way around it. Creating content is very expensive, and kind of all the reasons you were just saying is exactly why the Videoly solution was created. That being said, though, many customers still, want to have a higher, product video count on their website, but still have, some own created content on brands. So one suggestion there is it's pretty safe to follow, the old 80-20 rule, retail rule. 80% of your revenue coming from 20% of your products. Focusing on that content and those products for creating content. Even better if you have, lower churn products that are going to stay up longer on your site. And then using some sort of solution like Videoly to then scale extra content across the site will then kind of allow you to have your own brand content, but in a much more manageable way on the cost side of things, as well as the time. So that's one thing I would suggest. And then in terms of, user generated content, I mean, like we've been talking about, it's kind of been what everyone's been talking about over the last few years, and especially last year. And I think it's mostly because user generated content outperforms that brand content in terms of both engagements and conversions. And I think the reason is pretty straightforward. Of course, a brand or a manufacturer is going to talk great about their product. They've made it. Excuse me. But when a customer is deciding whether or not to make a big purchase, it can go a long way to get that unbiased third-party opinion from someone actually using that product. And I think one of the reasons why a lot of people shy away from this user-generated content is because on the cover, maybe the production value, isn't going to match that of a large budgeted video. But quite frankly, that's not what the customers care about. They care about the message and seeing someone that relates to themselves giving authentic feedback on that product. And it's much more relatable and actionable for the consumer. I know I mentioned that my favorite video earlier was a user-generated content that made me purchase a product. And actually just recently I was on the market for running shoes, and I know I was deep in the weeds on reviews. And one of them actually convinced me that I need new shoes now, because it was talking about, the life expectancy of a shoe, I guess, is 400 kilometers, which actually got me to then figure out that, I need these shoes now, apparently.
400 kilometers. Again,
yeah, in 2021, 80% of videos created were actually user-generated videos, which is pretty amazing, just how much content is out there.
It's becoming so easy to create video too. Like if you've got a product that is definitely, if it looks good, if the experience is good, if like people want to share, people share everything about their lives now. Like, I mean, there's really nothing there. So it doesn't surprise me that like people are this does go back to the brand. If you are creating an experience worth sharing, people will share it. So like 80%, that's wild. And again, it's someone probably opening their product at their kitchen table going like, wow, this blew me away. That's awesome. 10 times more than branded content. Some of these stats I didn't even know. That's wild. I definitely get the authenticity piece. So, and again, I'm sure everyone in chat has a story where it's like, yeah, I have a reviewer, or I've got someone, I know my dad, he follows a chef online and he follows him religiously and he gives him like the honest reviews. I'm like, don't buy this butter, buy this butter. And it's like, okay, great. Well, I don't know if the butter people are influencing the guy, but it influences my father, and he's buying butter from some influencer online that like, wow, okay, wow, we're selling butter through influencers now or through user generated content. That's wild. So it really, really is cool. There's probably, so if you find that you do already have influencer generated content or user generated content, what are the best practices of like, should a brand actually reach out to those content creators and do stuff, or like what happens there? Is it it's still kind of an emerging market in terms of like how brands interact with user generated content, right? This is kind of an open question to everyone.
Yeah, no, sorry. I think you cut out for a second there, Matthew. In my headphones.
Oh, I'll leave it to Aaron. I'll ask Aaron. Aaron, if we had a video or if we had a bunch of product in the space, should brands actually reach out to the content creators and start a dialogue, or is like what's best practices for a brand actor interacting with video of their product online that's not controlled by themselves?
That's a tough question to answer in terms of any like concrete you should do this. A lot of content creators out there get really inundated with emails from brands that don't have a good ask.
Okay.
So if you're a brand and you're seeing your content out in the ecosystem, for one, good for you. Because if it's in the if people are making reviews of your content, if people are creating earned media that you didn't have to go and ask them to produce in the first place, that's a huge win. I think reaching out to content creators and forming a relationship isn't a bad idea. And it doesn't cost you much to start the dialogue, but before you do, my advice would be to have a really good ask in mind, so you actually know what you're trying to accomplish and what you're going to offer ahead of time. Because just saying, "Hey, why don't you review more of my products?" isn't going to be a strong enough ask. You're going to actually ruin your relationships with a lot of those content creators rather than actually getting the benefits of your relationship.
We don't do a lot of that, so I'm curious, and I know that I'm putting you on the spot here with a question that it's just coming to my attention that, like, again, like if I was a toaster company, I definitely want to slice of that 100 and zillion million views on the toaster review channel. So yes, you should take it upon yourself to actually make some YouTube searches and figure out where the industry's at for you. And you should quite literally just type in what your product is, leave the branded trademark name behind, and just type in your product, reviews, YouTube search, see what comes up. You will be surprised at how much content already exists around that industry. So in terms of money, like you might not need to go and break the bank generating a bunch of stuff, which is cool. Kind of makes me want to like sell a product now. So right on.
Yeah. So I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into how the Videoly platform actually works. So Videoly sources existing video content directly from brands, as well as the user-generated content like we've been talking about from YouTube. And then it's time for the human touch. So we have a team of over 80 curators, and they review each video. So again, they're making sure that the content is relevant to that product, the overall message is positive and selling, and that there's no references to any competitors or outdated pricing information. And then once those checks are complete, the curated videos are going to be uploaded onto your product page, and we begin tracking their performance. And then through the My Videoly portal, you maintain complete control over the video content and have access to the data and analytics so that you're constantly aware of how the video content is performing. You can also add videos that you've created yourself through the My Videoly portal, and you can share links to your product pages through social media and other channels. And a common question that we get from retailers is about copyright issues when it comes to using third-party videos. So whenever a user uploads a video onto YouTube, there's going to be a field that they can either select or not, saying that they allow for third-party embedding of the video. In Videoly, we only use videos where the user has consented to that use.
So that's super important. So we don't have to worry about too many legal things coming back at us. I don't like that. Aaron really doesn't like, we don't like calls to our lawyer. Never a good call. Never a good reason to call your lawyer.
Yeah. And I'd love
That-
to show you, sorry.
Yeah. Walk me through it, like, because I love looking at analytics. If I could do that as a full-time job, I would.
Yeah, so I'd love to show you what the My Videoly portal actually looks like. So if we go to the next slide.
Right on.
This is the overview page, which, as the title suggests, gives you an overview of how many videos are on your product pages and how those videos are performing. The average time per video view, that one's a really great section to use as quality assurance. So you can see that we are providing video content that shoppers are actually interested in, as they're not going to be spending a minute plus watching something that they have absolutely no interest in. Do you mind hitting play on that? There we go. Okay.
Sure. It's loading. It's doing its thing. Oh, we're gonna try here. Hold on. We're gonna make it play. We are gonna make it play. Hopefully you can see this. Oh, maybe.
Perfect.
It's playing.
Yeah, it's going. Okay, wonderful. And then video content is also, so that's the average time per video view I was just talking about. And then video content is also, it's a great way to naturally boost your SEO. So shoppers are naturally spending more time on your site because they're engaging with video content, which in this specific case led to 180 hours spent on site during the past 30 days just from videos being watched. Now we'll have a look at the product section. So even though Videoly is an automated solution and no work is required from your side after the implementation process, through the product section here is where you have access to and control over the video content, should you want it. So you can filter by products with video, or you can even search for a specific product like I've done here. And then when you select that product, you're going to see all the videos that have been included in the Videoly widget on that specific product page. So let's say you really like a review video and want it to show first in the widget, you can simply drag and drop it to the front of the queue, and that's going to update in the widget. Or let's say for whatever reason you don't like that review video, you can toggle it to off, and that video is no longer going to show in the widget at all. And we've also been talking about creating your own content. So let's say you make a really great review video, you want to add it to a product, you can do so here by adding the YouTube link, and then also assigning which genre of video it is. Also included in the portal is monthly reports, so where you get clear, concise data and insights. Some of our retailers actually use the findings included in the report and apply them to other areas of the business. So for example, in the report, you'll see the top 10 products with the most video views for that month. Maybe you want to create your own unboxing video for one of those products because you see that shoppers are already engaging with the content available for that product.
That's super cool because that's blending a pretty sweet mix of like the stuff that Aaron creates with, so like you've got both high consumer trust plus like high production value at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really wild.
And some retailers, some retailers, they want to have that kind of personalized experience, even though you're not going into their shop. They want you to recognize their face and kind of who they are, right? And creating their own content and adding it to the product page is a great way to do that.
I totally agree. Aaron, what did you, I think that's the first time that's the first time I've seen it too. That's pretty cool considering normally we don't get on-page analytics from video views. So you will be able to pull everything out of YouTube, which is sweet. But on the more on-page analytics you'll get is definitely going to help you make better decisions, actually sorting your store, making sure that the products are actually getting seen. If they're not being seen, generating more or less. That's super cool. and like super unaffordable for a business if they wanted to go and create 3,173 total videos. I would say, yeah, don't do that. Don't start with 3,173. But if you can get that right off the hop, if you can get 40, if you can get 15 videos, especially for a small business, that's a huge win. That's an absolute massive win, especially if you've got a small inventory store where you're only selling a few things, which is wild. So yeah, don't have a store with 9,000 SKUs. Like we'll do that too, but barrel of monkeys. 9,000 SKUs. You probably don't have a whole lot of time. Look at that. How did I do that? I didn't. Yeah, you probably don't have a whole lot of time for creating 3,173 total videos. You probably need to start with the highest priority things. So again, we're trying to blend a mix of things that you can do as a business with things that you are counting on the industry doing. I started the workshop off by asking how many people are actually creating video content themselves. I mean, like, great, TikToks, Reels, Shorts, anything. Any kind of video content is more than nothing. If you're not producing even the basics, that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem. Normally that indicates that you're not actually driving enough traffic to your store in the first place. So if you're not driving enough traffic to your store, I don't care how much page conversion you've got. You could have 100% conversion. You're not getting enough traffic to your store. Sure, you should be working all your other channels like word of mouth, repeat. Maybe you're a subscription box company. Maybe you've got the lifetime value of your customers just huge, and you're doing many touch points. You need to make time for video. It's you're going to kind of get left in the dust if you don't have a mixture of people creating it for you, customers creating it on your behalf, or you creating it yourself. There kind of should be all three. We something that Aaron and I both advocate for is having every business owner needs two budgets. One is money, and that can be any figure. The other is time. You need a time budget for this, and that can be as simple as reviewing your analytics. Someone's got to do that. That takes time. Creating video, monitoring the comments, interacting with customers, planning content, even if you're not the one on camera, which we'll get to in a minute. Who here has like a video that like does anyone have a video of their stuff that they like love to share? I'd love to like get in chat if you've got something that's absolutely killing it right now. I know that we've got some clients with like a TikTok reel with like 100, maybe not 100. It's in the tens of millions of views. It's like, wow, that's impressive. And there's like Jay-Z music to it, and it's doing quite well for them. And it's not complicated. Like, I think that it took them like 20 minutes to do. So it shouldn't. The big time factor is, I think, Aaron, what do you recommend for a business owner that says like they don't have time to create video? It's either, we get that all the time. I don't have time.
Start small. Start small with something that's going to be really easy to accomplish. There's really two ways to go about. Well, so there's three ways to go about it with Videoly here in the room. The shortest answer would be, if you don't have time, leverage a bunch of videos other people are making, and it doesn't cost you any time. But if you're making the videos yourself, you've really got two ways to approach it. You can do them in-house, or you can get professional support. If you're doing them in-house, create a bite-sized consistency. If you can spend 5 minutes a day shooting a reel for whatever social you're using, that's probably going to be better than what you're doing currently. And that's going to be better than what a lot of your competition are doing. So like with 5-10 minutes a day, you can give yourself a really big leg up in terms of your marketing activity. And that's not a huge time commitment. If that kind of like consistent work where you're massaging your video output over time isn't going to fit for you for whatever reason, maybe you're super busy, or maybe you're just intimidated to take all that on from a technical perspective and you want someone else to take on a lot of the work for you, book a shoot with an agency. Let some experts plan out what your video content needs to be, and cram as much of that as you can into 1 or 2 shoot days. Because then what that agency is going to do, if they're good, is take that content, cut it down into stuff that's easy to deliver across your marketing channels, and help you get as much value out of that individual shoot day as possible. So you're putting your time in once, And then that agency that's working with you is leveraging their time to get extra value out of it over time. So for example, when we do a shoot day, we typically shoot 2 to 4 minute videos that can be talking about the company, your team, how you use your products, you name it. We can reasonably shoot 6 of those in a single shoot day. From each of those videos, we can produce a full 2 to 4 minute segment for your website, your YouTube channel. We can also cut that down into 20 to 30-second segment for social media. Well, so now you're starting to see that you've spent 1 day shooting videos, and we've amplified that into 12 or more videos actually releasing across your channels based off of you spending 1 day shooting.
Why don't you, and especially with that, and I mean, like, hey, I don't know what I'm looking for. You talked at the beginning about like, hey, you need a hook. So if the business owner doesn't have a bunch of past experience, they're not media trained, they've never been in front of a camera before. Obviously, they're relying on that professional support to guide them. Explain what a hook is and why it matters.
Sure. A hook is what's going to get people to finish watching your video. It's got to come within the first 5 seconds. It's got to capture people's attention. And that hook could be anything from an outcome to a topic to an emotional feeling. Whatever it is, that hook is just something that's going to grab people and make them want to stick with you throughout the remainder of your video. If you're struggling with video topic ideas and you don't even know how to start, a great place to start is by looking at your past interactions with your customers and go, what are the questions I get on a regular basis? What are people actually asking you? Because that's going to tell you what your customers care about. And if you can do a series of videos answering those questions, it's going to be really easy to come up with your hooks, because you can launch into the video saying, hey, we're going to be answering today in this video, we're going to be answering this question. And that's your hook, because it's a question people actually care to have the answer to because they're asking you on a regular basis. Once you have that content, you can push that out to all of your social channels, your mailing list, your website, get that in front of people. And then it's going to start answering some of those questions for you before your customers even ask.
I love that. That should help generate better questions further down the pipeline. And I think that also ties into evergreen content. So I think I'll open it up to everyone here. Videoly is going to do a great job with evergreen content too. But if you're asking those questions, if you did have a budget and you did have time, that evergreen content becomes very, very important because it's going to stay true for as long as possible. So why don't we have each of you kind of break down how, well, Aaron, why don't you explain evergreen content to everyone, and then we'll get Annie and Garrett to jump in terms of how evergreen content can be used as part of that marketing funnel.
Sure. Evergreen content is super important. So going right back to the question of like, how do you manage the time? Because if you don't have time, one of the biggest things you can do to do yourself a favor is not have to produce the same content more than once. So if you're producing evergreen content, that means it's content that's going to be true for an extended period of time. One of the things we really shy away from as an agency is chasing trends. Trends change all the time. A lot of companies try to chase trends and end up being too late. They're releasing content that is off the mark and after the fact. If you can produce content that's really impactful and really useful and going to be true for an extended period of time, you don't have to constantly recreate it. And you're going to be able to compound the value by getting views on that content over and over and over again, months or years down the line. So a perfect example would be if your product doesn't change too much, a tutorial video on how to use or install the product is going to be content that remains true for the life cycle of that product, and is always going to answer questions that your users are looking for. So that'd be one example of evergreen content.
So I think there are users out there that are creating evergreen content on behalf of brands kind of unknowingly. I think that was the example of that customer or that video that you watched where someone was reviewing how to hang a door, correct? Like those methods are going to stay true for as long as people are hanging doors. That all of that content could have been shared through Videoly right onto product pages. Is that right, Garrett?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And kind of to go back onto the time side of things for a second, because I do hear a lot, especially when you haven't really dabbled in video before. Oh, I don't have the time to create my own content, so I'm going to go source it. But I think it's underestimated quite often how long it does take to go source all that content. So on average, like through all of our conversations we ever had, it takes about 15 minutes to search, watch, and embed one video onto a product page, which I'm sure a lot of people are a little bit skeptical. Would it actually take 15 minutes? But just kind of hear me out here. So if we kind of give an example of, we have a goal of covering 50% of our product pages with video content. And let's say we've got 2,000 product SKUs. So this then adds up to 150,000 minutes. And if we estimate, a $20 an hour cost, which is on the low end, this kind of now equates to, 2,500 hours. A typical 8-hour workday now makes this 312 business days. So, and an estimated time cost of $50,000. Obviously, I'm throwing out a lot of numbers here, but essentially, what this means is, with a product SKU count of 2,000 products, not including trying to get more than one video on a product page, it would take almost one full-time employee just working exclusively on this. And for everyone who's kind of wondering, how does it take 15 minutes? I can kind of break down, all the different steps that it takes to actually go source and, quality check and embed. So one, time to find video. There's over 800 million videos on YouTube. So we're searching for a needle in a haystack here, right? Then two, we got to watch the video. But, kind of like we talked about earlier when you're showing the toaster videos, we can't kind of just scan through the videos. We got to kind of watch with a lot of intent from, the first second to the end of the video to make sure, there isn't outdated pricing, especially, for us in Canada, the difference in the dollar, sometimes you can get a lot of videos and the pricing's off, the legitimacy, the quality, and then of course the big one, no competitors mentioned. The last thing you want to do is throw up a video that's going to drive someone to one of your competitors, right? And then just kind of put this in perspective, 70% of the videos that our curation team watches are rejected for one of these reasons, which can kind of show you how long this can add up over time. And then you got to embed it. Once you found it and watched, you got to embed it, which is pretty straightforward, but it is difficult to embed it, up high on the page in the most optimal spot. So now you're done, right? You've gone through this process and you're probably patting yourself on the back. But then, as we talked about earlier, especially with, let's say, a YouTube, channel goes from public to private. Now you got to make sure you get this video down, or you've got copyright issues, right? A YouTube video's taken down from YouTube. Now you're going to have a broken link. So spends a lot of time, managing that. Let's say you roll out a new product line. Now you got to start this process all over from scratch. And then, Matt, as you said a few times throughout today's call, really hard to gain that access on, the direct product page, not to the analytics. Sorry.
Yeah, you would be missing all of it. If it wasn't your video, you'd be missing quite a bit of it. So, and again, that kind of leaves you blind. So yeah, maybe it's a band-aid solution in the short term, but definitely not something that you'd want to do long term. So I'm going to jump into the do's and don'ts. There's a long list here. There's way more than this. There's way more. I could talk your ear off for quite some days on approaches to actually filming content yourself. So if you are doing this yourself, we really want to kind of hone in on things that are achievable from a small business standpoint. So, and again, in no particular order, I don't have to read off these slides. You can read yourself. The biggest, most complicated, or I'll read a couple from the do's and the don'ts. The don'ts is the big one, is the trends. Especially when you're starting out, don't worry about finding the trend, finding the right filter, don't start tippy taps, little steps, film a video. It won't be perfect. If we look at any YouTuber, any celebrity, any everything, if you go back in history, you'll probably cringe at the work that they were doing even a few years ago. We don't want to try and evaluate their best to your current, because that's not a fair comparison. Compare yourself to yourself. And at the end of the day, it's like, we just want more traffic. We want more traffic and more conversions than yesterday. And we're not gonna do that overnight. I try and say the same thing. It's like brushing your teeth or going to the gym. You will not see results day one. You just won't. You really won't. You won't even see results week one. It is something that needs to fit into a larger strategy. If you've already got a whole bunch of traffic and now you're implementing videos onto the site, then yes, you're going to see some immediate results. Like that's sweet. You've already got the problem solved. Awareness is sweet. So yeah, biting off more than you can chew. Again, simple. Don't worry about going into crazy editing. Put the toaster on the bench. Talk about the toaster. Make toast. Like don't go into anything that's too crazy. You're not taking it apart. You're not doing anything that's outside of that. If you do need some consulting time, find someone local to you. Find someone local to you that you can hold accountable, that you can get their opinion on, that you trust, that'll give you an hour of their time, and that'll set you straight rather than doing the whole trial and error thing. So yeah, don't chase trends. It's not going to work. There was a very famous YouTuber, I think one of the biggest, I think he's got to be top 5. Mr. Beast just did a podcast with Lex Friedman, and one of the biggest takeaways there was just like, don't even worry about it until you've produced 100 videos. Like, do not try to do anything fancy until you're at 100. Do 100 first. And by the time you're at 100, you won't even recognize the first one you did. So does that mean buying a light ring and setting up your camera and filming yourself for an Instagram reel or something? It means yes. It means getting that going. By that 100, you're going to be flying. You'll know where all the buttons are. It won't be a complicated process. You'll be able to interact with people way more frequently. Obviously, it's scary. Doing anything new is scary. So like if you've never done it before and there's a bunch of, again, newbies in the room, just start. Even if you don't publish the content, just film it. Just film it. I know. So from Aaron and I's experience, we have people on camera all the time, and it's nerve-wracking for them. The lights are on, they're mic'd up, they're uncomfortable. My job is to get them smiling and their facial muscles relaxed. And normally there's a lot of swearing and there's cursing and there's like mistakes and everything. And it's definitely a more fun environment, even though the stress is high. The more you do it, the easier it's going to become. So like even if you were to look at the toaster review channel, it didn't start there. It started off reviewing toasters in someone's basement. That's where everyone starts. Try your best to just get in front of the camera. Video with people in it performs way more. So that, and if you're not one to actually get your face in camera, you're selling jewelry, get your neckline in it with a necklace, get your wrist in it if it's a watch, get your hands in it if it's a ring. Do something where there's some level of actual human interaction in frame. It is going to outperform the ring on like a mannequin or the clothing on just on a hanger. It will do far better. There's a zillion studies that just say and again, if we are looking at what algorithms are doing, they are prioritizing content with people in it because people like seeing other people. So again, if I was going to sell like a dog collar, I'm going to put the dog collar on a dog. With the dog in the camera, the dog's going to be eating the dog treat, and we're going to show you how much the dog likes the dog treat. The last thing I'll say is regular schedule. This is a commitment. It's just like anything else. So it's the same thing whether you're using a Videoly or if you're producing your own content. It's like you want your website to be consistent. You want your product pages to feature video. It doesn't do you any justice if your posting is infrequent. You're not building any habitual habits with the people that are interacting with your brand. I know that I get a wicked newsletter, and it comes like every Thursday or every other Thursday. It's like I know I look forward to that. I look forward to it. I remember when I was a kid, I want to get home from school. Like my favorite TV show is on at the same time every day. Like the habit, I'm building a habit with right from when I was very young. So try your best to post on a schedule. Yes, things happen, life happens, things get in the way, but like making that commitment to yourself is like, hey, I'm going to get product video on the page. I'm going to do that. You will immediately be seen as a more tech forward brand if you're using video to sell your product rather than a static product page. Taking the time to invest in that, it's going to give you a leg up on the competition. And speaking of product pages, like segue to what a PDP is, it should be on the product page. And before this, video can belong on other pages of your site. Your about page, your story, founder mission, homepage, contact, like video, it's not only here. If you're interested in sales and getting those conversions and you've got page views already, this is really what you need to actually focus on. But video can belong pretty much anywhere through that customer journey. So the product page is equally as important as everything else. But I would go back to your analytics. So if you're getting a ton of traffic to actually drive to, let's just say your about page, because you're a founder and your name really ranks really high in Google, no one's buying anything from the about page. I got to get them to a product or a collection. I got to get them into something where they can convert. And that's where this also is a fit. Oh, there's a good question. Does Videoly embed video anywhere else besides product pages? Or is it product pages specific?
Right now, it's product page specific. We do have a couple retailers that we're kind of testing out other placement with, and it might be on the roadmap down the line. But right now, we are focused on product
Cool.
pages. Yeah,
cool.
Because that's where you can track kind of the data, the conversions, right?
So this is, yeah, definitely walk us through some best practices for like videos specifically on the product page and not actually producing it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are some of them. And I'd love if you could open the link to one of our Shopify customers' product pages, and we can kind of walk through them there.
Give me a second here.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Perfect. So first of all, we want the product videos directly on the product page in order to create a really seamless, consistent experience for all of the online shoppers. And we also want to ensure that the videos don't negatively impact our page loading time. So this can be achieved by having the videos in the Videoly widget rather than having them manually embedded on the product page. Next, placement's really important and actually impacts the watch rate of the videos. So we want the videos front and center when the shopper lands on the product page so that they don't have to scroll or kind of seek out the video content. It's right there and ready to be watched. We also want the videos placed closely to the add to cart button, again, to limit the amount of work or scrolling that the shopper has to do. All of the videos in our player are clearly labeled. So this sets a really clear expectation of what the video is actually going to cover. So if the shopper comes online with certain questions in the back of their mind, they know what video to watch to have those questions answered. And then if you can go ahead and actually play one of the videos.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so you'll see that the video opens and plays directly on the product page. And this is a huge feature, right? So we're not redirecting the shopper to YouTube where there's a chance they get distracted, maybe start watching cat videos and never actually return back to your product page. We're providing them all the information they need to feel comfortable making their purchasing decision while still directly on your page. And then so they can watch the video, exit out of that player.
Yeah. I just noticed right there too, you can actually scroll through the videos as well. So like if everyone can see that, like I went from a branded unboxing video to what looks like a user generated video of someone just out like, yeah, a beach family review.
A review video. Yeah. And it's automatically, the player is going to automatically start playing the next video once the first one ends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then when you exit out of that player, you see the add to cart button is right there. No scrolling required. It's really set up for success. And then lastly, we want to ensure that the performance is tracked. So we actually know what impact these videos are having. And we've talked about that a ton already.
So you'll actually see that click that I just made and then watch time, and that's just real-time data that would just get fed into the analytics and then.
Yes, correct.
That's cool. That's very
so
cool.
Can you go ahead and add it to cart and buy it for me, Matthew?
You know what? I don't have any youngsters. I didn't realize that. I can just imagine myself like riding this down a hill when I was younger. This is like an off-road. Look at the tires on this thing. This is why. So this is, again, especially for a luxury product, because I would definitely say that, like, okay, great. It's not your little red wagon with white wheels that I grew up with. So having that supported content is definitely going to help justify going to drop $1,000 on something that is definitely not, your out of the box thing that you're going to go pick up at your local hardware store. So that's not a purchase I'm going to make today, but that's definitely cool. The rims on it. Anyways. You should be. We're all good. Seeing I'm back to this screen. You can see me here. I've left that.
Yep.
Right on. Cool. I can never tell. That's super cool. So that definitely adds flavor to your product page. And I know that most people are trying to make optimizations to how their site content actually looks. Oh, should I start using my videos? Okay, that's a great question, Isabella. We are going to get to that. I just read that. We are going to get to that. Cool. Because we're pretty close to that. Great. We talked a lot about how we can actually help you. Here's what you can actually do. If you want it, scan that code for them. You can book a meeting with me. Don't call that number. That's my actual number. Don't do that. I've had people do that in the past and they'll call me in the middle of a presentation. It's funny. Don't do that right now. Call me later. Cool. There's the code. And Garrett, you're going to get bombarded with calls as well. So like your phone number's up there as well. Maybe I'll call you. I should just call you right now.
Feel
Garrett
free.
loves
Call me.
calls.
Call me, text me, FaceTime me. The world's your oyster.
So yeah, if you want that free scan, I know that again, Isabella, if you're starting a brand new store, that's still not to say that you don't have products that are already available for or have user generated content that's available. And for us, yeah, happy to actually hop on a call and actually discuss if it's right. I'm gonna leave this up here for a little bit. I'm gonna actually answer that question for you, Isabella. Great. The question was, question, I just started my online store. When should I start using product videos? What do you recommend? Isabel, what do you sell? What's your store? Drop a link to what you sell in the chat. Let's actually take a look at it. The more you give, the more you get. So if you start sharing, we're going to start actually giving you some feedback on this. So there's no like clean answer before we actually like can see. So I'd love to see. Watch her like also be selling that stroller.
I think there are some best practices we can weigh in on that answer that.
There are.
Like in short answer, when's the best time to start using video? Yesterday. Yesterday is the best time to start using video. The sooner you can use it, the more impactful it's going to be. When we build online stores for larger clients, we actually try to build the store and capture the videos concurrently, and build the stores with a vision for the videos in mind. So it's not just an online store that we've added some video into randomly after the fact. You actually want to think about how your video fits in to the overall design of your store, including things like where it's going to live on the product pages, which other pages need video content. And so the two go hand in hand. So if even if you don't have a Shopify store yet, I would say start working on your videos right. And if you do have a Shopify store that you've launched and you're wondering, oh, should I get into video? Yeah. The sooner you get started, the more time you're going to have to get good at it. The sooner you release your videos, the more time they're going to have to start gaining traction. Video it can be fast to produce, but it takes a long time for it to really start paying off in all the ways it's going to as the views start to tick up. So the sooner you can start producing video, the better. If you're new at Shopify and overwhelmed by just trying to learn the infrastructure, it's okay to give yourself some time to get your head around that before you dive into it. But as soon as you have the bandwidth to launch into a video project, it can be a very powerful way to level up your online store. So I'd say get on it as soon as you can.
Right on. I've got a couple of questions that were. Go ahead, Garrett.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to piggyback off Aaron there. I couldn't agree more. I think it's a bit, and then also, creating the content, but then when to get it on the store. Like oftentimes I hear, people kind of waiting for a certain threshold, right, in traffic, for it to make sense to get this content onto your website. But it is a bit of a chicken and an egg situation, right? Do we wait to optimize for once, there's a certain threshold of traffic, or do we want to have it optimized before we start really driving traffic there? And in my opinion, I think it makes sense to make sure that you have it optimized first, because as we've been talking about, Matthew and Aaron, you've touched on, in terms of building lifetime value and repeat customers, that their first impression is going to be huge. And when they land on that page, everyone, at least, or maybe I can just speak for myself, but when I go to buy from, a new shop that I don't know anything about, I'm always going to be a little skeptical, right? Can I trust this site? Is there credibility behind this site? And that starts from day one. If someone lands on your page and is a little skeptical and not quite as trusting, you know, there's a lower chance they're ever going to come back and become a repeat customer, right? So I think, you know, like Aaron said, you know, let's start yesterday and go from there.
We had a couple of questions that were sent via direct messages. Best industries to leverage video. Is there any? Is there like one over the other? I don't think so, but like opinions?
I had some opinions on that. The flashier or more complicated your product is, the more you should prioritize video. If your product is super flashy, it's really interesting, it's really neat, video is so easy for you to produce. If your product is fun to look at, there's no reason you shouldn't be producing videos and actually showing off to people how awesome it is. Like even right down to that wagon we just looked at. It's got a lot more going on than the traditional red wagon. It's a cool looking product. Even the process of like opening it all up, that's interesting to watch. So if your product is visually engaging to begin with, you're crazy not to do videos. The flip side of that, if your product's really complicated, whether it's visually interesting or not, videos are going to become super important for actually explaining how your product works and how to use it. So anytime where you've got a lot of information you're trying to convey to your audience, video becomes even more important. And so if you fall into either of those categories, I would say those are some of the most important areas to leverage video. The other place where it's super important, if you sell a luxury product, we stress this all the time. We run into it over and over again. Big brands never struggle with content. The bigger the company, the more established they are, the bigger their library is, because they took advice from someone and started producing it many yesterdays ago, and now they've got this massive library to draw on. And so if you're trying to establish yourself as a luxury product line in the space, if you're trying to establish yourself as something higher end, having that depth of content to show off that there's something real behind your organization is going to be an important part of setting yourself apart from people who are just playing at running an e-commerce store, and for people who haven't invested in enough to show that that they're selling a product that people can really be confident. Which ties us directly into one of our upcoming workshops, as Matthew teased at
Yeah.
Just establishing yourself as a luxury brand on Shopify.
We've already got some signups for that, which is awesome. I did want to actually mention, we are in the Q&A portion because we kind of just jumped right into it. And I jumped the gun by jumping into one of the DMs I got. If you do have a question, now's the time. If you've got something more complicated, I'm happy to open up the mics. And we've definitely got some time to answer anything. If you want to send those to us outside of this because you feel more comfortable doing that, great, you can. I'm going to put a few things on the page right here. If I can find them. We'll see. If you want to actually connect with us, which would be sweet. I'm going to drop some of our links in the chat, or we can all be found on LinkedIn if you want to connect with us. But Q&A is open. If you have questions about your brand, anything specific, the door is wide open. I do have 2 other DMs that I got, so I got to go back to those. But if you've got, I'm going to scroll up. If you've got a question, I'm happy to answer it while I sift through my chat here. Okay, scrolling up, I've got my first one. How long should it take? And just like, what should I expect? If I'm creating a time budget to create video, how long should it take? What is a good time budget? Essentially is what they're asking. I know that Garrett just pumps out videos. He's doing these like cool videos at home with his golf swing and showing people what to do. He is.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be the best person to answer on the production side of things. I think that'd be more on your side.
How long does it take you to produce a good golf video, Garrett?
A good video? I don't know, but it takes a few minutes for me to produce it.
Yeah, so it's going to depend here. Aaron, you jump into this because I think it's more of a production question.
It is. So I just shared a link in chat to a video where I actually delve into this exact topic in a little bit more detail, because we released a video titled "How Long Does a Video Take to Produce?" about a week ago. Video production It depends. I know is not an answer anyone wanted to hear, but that's the truth of it. Video production can mean a lot of different things. So how long does it take to produce a video? As I touched on earlier, when we go out and we do a professional shoot for someone, that'll be a full day shoot, 8 to 10 hours on set. We can reasonably shoot 2 to 4 minute segments in that time. In which case you're going to get those back from us, assembled, edited, and ready to launch, usually within 2 weeks or so. There's a bunch of planning that goes into effect prior to that shoot. Now, on the other hand, if you're starting simple, like I suggested, and you're just trying to get content onto your social channels, get it out there, you can reasonably spend 15 minutes a day shooting short, simple questions on your phone. Answer a question you get asked all the time, speak to a topic that comes up regularly, just get that content out there. It doesn't have to be a major time commitment, but it comes down to the complexity of what you're trying to do. How many people are involved in the project? What are your goals? How professional are you trying to make the finished product? All of these things are going to have a massive impact on how long a video actually takes to produce.
So start simple.
That would be my biggest piece of advice. Yeah, start simple.
Start simple.
Start simple, and you're going to cut those timelines down drastically. No one needs to spend 15 years making the next avatar. Certainly not in e-commerce.
Right on. It looks like I got a question just about Videoly here. This is my own question. I know that you sorted those videos on that product page. Is that normally what you recommend, is to have an unboxing, an in-use, and a presentation? I think the last one was. Is that like the norm for like the top 3 the video types per product page? Is that correct?
Yeah, so basically we'll add up to 15 videos per product, depending on what's available. So those 3 videos would have been kind of the best fit for that product that our curation team found. It's always beneficial to have a variety of different types of videos, just again, to answer those questions that shoppers are coming online with and really get them to engage with the content. But it's basically usually based on what content is available there and the right fit for the product.
So right fit for the product. So there's not like it's all dependent.
Yeah, it depends on the product, the brand. Does the retailer create their own content? We can add that in. What type of content are they creating?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's always up to the customer, whatever they prefer. Some people want UGC first. Some people want that towards the end, more brand stuff at the beginning of the carousel. But you're always in full control.
You're in full control of it. So just aside from the fact that if they were to take that, if a video was to come down on YouTube, is it automatically removed from Videoly, or is there?
Yes,
So
if the video is removed from YouTube, it gets automatically removed from the widget.
Oh, right on.
You're never going to have any of those broken links, the ugly static gray images. And that's another advantage towards having it like in the widget there versus manually embedding it yourself. Because if you embed it and it's removed from YouTube, you get that broken link.
I don't like broken links. I don't at all.